Hey, welcome back to Ping Pong Flicks. My name is Chris Wong. To continue our Justice League coverage, couple things came out today that are pretty big. The first thing that just came out of nowhere, it just showed up on my Twitter feed. Apparently, Danny Elfman had released one of his tracks of the Justice League soundtrack. Now, I'm not going to post a track listing here because there's things in there that could be potential spoilers in the titles. So maybe I won't even put the link down in my comments, but you can go ahead and check it out. It's easy to find. You probably can go to an Amazon or Apple Music store and you'll see the track listing right there. So I won't talk about the track listing, but I'll just give you my impressions of what the themes are. So this first track that Danny Elfman had put out, it's called The Hero's Theme. Now, upon first listening to it, it really vaguely just reminds me of the Wonder Woman soundtrack, especially the end credit score called Action Reaction. It starts off very much the same, and I was pretty happy with how much drums they put in here. It sounds very reminiscent of the Gregson Williams score or even some of the Hans Zimmer part to it, but then the Danny Elfman kicks in here and there, much to a lot of fanfare. At first, it did feel very generic, but then as I got to listen to more and more, went out on my walk, I had the earphones on, I was able to listen to it very carefully, and I did feel that chicken skin coming because I imagined what that scene was. It felt like prep time, felt like they're prepping to do something, felt like they're getting all their gear together. Justice League's ready to go out on a mission, and it gets very mysterious toward the end. So I very much did like the score. It's still out of context though, and I think I'll like it even more, or maybe not like it, depending on what it is used in the movie, because every movie, it needs to have some kind of context. But the brilliant thing about it is that I'm able to think about it. The music's able to convey a sort of storytelling on its own, and that's good writing in terms of songwriting, is that if it's able to convey something, whether you like the music or not, if it's able to convey a type of story or you kind of imagine what's going on, that's some good writing right there. Now, the other track that was, I'm not even sure if it's officially released. Some people said it is on Apple Music. It's called Friend and Foe, or Friend or Foe. And that one is very interesting indeed. This actually has that hint that Danny Elfman talked about, where he was going to put in the John Williams Superman score in a dark way. And there's 3 moments within it that you hear it. You can go and search for it if you want. I'm not sure it's official, so I don't want to post a link or anything in my comments, but it's right there. You can actually, when it first starts, you hear the bum 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 bum, and it does that 2 more times in a quicker fashion, and it just blew me away because I didn't think it was going to be that apparent, but it is apparent, and at first very out of place because I am so used to the new idea of Hope soundtrack, Hans Zimmer soundtrack from Man of Steel. I'm so used to that. I'm so used to Batman v Superman and Junkie XL type music, so it felt out of place. But then I got to listen to more. I can see what's happening there. I can imagine some kind of storytelling taking place. And like I said earlier, if a music's able to convey a story without even knowing what that part is, without even seeing the context, I think that's pretty great writing right there. And it gave me a little bit of nostalgia, if you will, and it got me back to thinking about heroism of Richard Donner's Superman, those little moments, the best moments out of Superman Returns, and that got me a little bit excited. But I still want to hear that Hans Zimmer Man of Steel type score within this movie. So I'm hoping this is not writing that out altogether. If it is and it works well, then fine, then that's great. But right now I'm still hoping to hear some of that classic Hans Zimmer from the Man of Steel Batman v Superman. That's just me. But I can see what this is doing though. Either if it was released officially or unofficially, I'm not sure, but it did get some of the older Superman fans excited. Even my own friend, he listened to it and he was super excited to hear that Superman score, and he's like, yes, yes, that's what I want. This is my Superman. So if anything, it might bring two different worlds together: the Man of Steel fans and the Richard Donner fans. Or if you're a fan of both, you can probably make some kind of compromise to each other. I'm not sure. There are a lot of people who are angry out there, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, let's just find out when we watch the movie on November 17th to hear the context of this music, and then maybe it makes sense, maybe it won't, but we can only know when we find out. So those are the two tracks. You can go ahead and try finding it on your own. I'm hearing people are telling me Apple Music already has those two tracks on. I'm not sure. And if you're interested in track listing or being spoiled by that, then go ahead at your own risk. The other thing is tracking. Because the box office tickets went out, there is tracking sites were able to gather all their information to say that pretty much everybody says the same thing. Deadline and all these other sources, they're saying that 110 to 120 million box office opening weekend. That is majorly huge. Okay, for the first week of tracking, that is huge. In contrast, Wonder Woman was tracking at 65 million and turned out to be $100 million opening weekend. And I believe Batman v Superman was like 100 something, and it turned out to be 166. So this is great news that the first week is 110 to 120 million, because that's going to go up. That's going to go way up. In 4 weeks from now, it's going to go up. Even after Thor comes out, after everybody's like Thored out, that those first 2 weeks, they're thored out, that number can only rise because they're going to get excited for the next superhero film coming out, and that is Justice League. So I'm expecting that number is going to shoot up for a while. And hopefully with the screenings that are happening and it does well, it'll open up the embargo to be earlier, just like how Wonder Woman did, because they wanted to capture and grab more audience. If that happens, then you can see that ticket sales go higher and higher after that. So I am very excited and happy to see that giant number at the beginning of the first week of tracking, and we're just going to continue every week. They're going to have another tracking, and we'll see how much money this movie is probably going to start making in the opening weekend itself. The kickoff of the world tour of Justice League seemed to have gone very well. I have to thank Film God for posting that entire live stream of the tour that first night, and I think even Fiona probably posted another link, so I'll try to post one of those links in the comments below. Very good reception and everything. I think people may have seen the 30-minute thing, and I'm waiting more reactions on that, so we'll stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more coverage on this. There's a lot more news coming out for Justice League, so be prepared. It's going to be pretty crazy next 3 weeks here. Alright guys, what did you guys think about those two tracks? If you've heard them, have you heard them or have you not? What did you think about them? And how about the tracking? Are you excited? Do you think that's a low number, or that's a pretty good number, or that's a really high number, meeting your expectations? Let me know down in the comments below, and thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.